A former factory worker who once famously declared green onions to be a, quote, rich man's hobby, has actually quintupled his income through video streaming. And yet, if you look at his channel today, he is still broadcasting himself eating 100 yen frozen dumplings.
Yeah, well, the glaring systemic bug in the attention economy we are examining today is exactly that. Those incredibly cheap dumplings are now being cooked in a premium, top-of-the-line Panasonic bistro microwave.
I do not see a bug at all. We are analyzing the evolution of the poverty business, drawing directly from recent source material on how negative life circumstances are aggressively commodified. My position is that this creator has mastered a new circular capitalism, rationally transforming his wretchedness into a highly optimized management resource.
Optimized? I mean, he hasn't escaped traditional linear labor exploitation. He built a trap for himself. I argue that he is trapped in a grotesque synthetic poverty. His financial success acts as a debt that fundamentally restricts his freedom, binding him to this perpetual pantomime of misery.
That reliance on the word grotesque misreads the entire architecture of his success. In the traditional linear capitalist model, a factory worker sells their physical labor hour by hour. They tighten bolts for a fixed, marginal return, which is a flawed operating system based on ownership that leaves the working class permanently marginalized.
Okay, but he hasn't escaped that system, he has just internalized it. He is a highly paid comedian forced to play a cheap, tragic role for an audience that constantly demands his suffering.
He has transitioned to a circular model, abandoning the linear one completely. Let us break down the mechanics. His demographic profile of being a single, bottom-tier factory worker no longer dictates his physical reality. It now functions strictly as an integrated circuit.
An integrated circuit? Come on, you are talking about a human being here.
Just like a microchip processes data, his persona processes human emotion. It reliably and mechanically extracts viewer empathy, and, more importantly, viewer's superiority. Maintaining this lonely persona is simply a rational brand maintenance cost, the exact equivalent to paying the electricity bill at a manufacturing plant.
Calling his daily, isolated existence a brand maintenance cost willfully obscures what he is actually doing to himself. What he has constructed is a state of high-purity synthetic poverty. The operating system of traditional capitalism, whatever its flaws, operates on a basic motivational premise where wealth buys freedom.
You are incorrectly defining freedom through the outdated lens of visible consumerism.
No, I am defining freedom as not having to pretend you are starving. You work, you accumulate capital, and that capital allows you to escape your initial limitations. In his new model, wealth just buys a heavier quota to pretend to be poor.
Freedom, in his specific context, is the absolute insulation from the physical risks of the linear labor market. He does not have to break his back on an assembly line anymore, which is a massive, calculable net positive.
But that insulation comes with a multi-million yen contractual obligation to live inside a self-imposed prison. He is subjecting himself to a physical and mental cage where he can never visibly enjoy his success. I mean, he cannot eat better food on camera. He cannot show a partner. He cannot display joy.
You are completely ignoring the physical assets highlighted in our source material. The premium Panasonic bistro microwave, the high-end 4K cameras, the professional lighting setups. These are not the consumer luxuries of a man showing off. They are calculated, rational capital investments, providing tax rationality.
Tax rationality? Are you serious? It is the world's most cost-ineffective theater.
It is asset protection.
You are describing a man using a top-tier Panasonic microwave to heat up discounted bread. That appliance is capable of executing complex culinary techniques. It has steam functions and auto menus for French cuisine, and he is pushing the defrost button for a 100 yen dumpling. These items are no longer sustenance. They are mere shooting dummies.
They are production equipment. If he retains his streaming profits in cash, they vanish to taxation. So by expensing these high-end tools, he shields his capital. But more crucially, he utilizes this gear to increase what we can call the resolution of wretchedness in his videos.
The resolution of wretchedness. Listen to how clinical that sounds. He is actively purchasing high-end gear to film a more convincing documentary of his own misery. That is psychological self-mutilation disguised as a tax strategy.
It is pure optimization. The high-end 4K camera captures the dismal, greasy texture of the 100 yen dumpling with sharper clarity. The premium lighting casts the perfect, melancholic shadow across his cramped room, delivering a higher quality product to his consumers.
I am sorry, but I just don't buy that at all. The consumers don't care about the 4K resolution. They care about the aesthetic of the bottom tier. When the audience sees the microwave, they see the cheap food coming out of it, and they feel a deep, comforting relief.
Which is exactly the mechanism I am describing.
They think, oh, he may have a nicer appliance, but he is still eating garbage alone. They are reassured that he is still in hell with them.
And that proves my exact point about extracting superiority. The microwave does not break the illusion, it enhances the contrast. He possesses the capital, yet he coats his reality in the signifiers of the dispossessed. At what point do you acknowledge this is just a highly skilled technical job requirement?
At the point where this technical job requirement strictly forbids actual human enjoyment. Think about the phrase that made him famous in the first place, that green onions are a rich man's hobby.
A brilliant piece of branding.
Buying a garnish that provides no caloric value is an unthinkable luxury when you are truly poor. That quote resonated because it was a raw, honest reflection of the bottom tier. But now, he could buy a farm of green onions, yet he continues to perform the deprivation.
Enjoyment, as you emotionally frame it, is a massive liability in the attention economy. The greatest profit margins in this digital era are generated purely through information asymmetry.
Well, explain how information asymmetry applies here, because to me, it just looks like a lucrative deception. He has to perform a stoic weight loss just to maintain the gaunt look of a struggling worker. He is the wealthiest expert on poverty who ironically understands real poverty the least anymore.
Information asymmetry simply means one party in a transaction knows something the other does not. And that gap is where the value is created. The creator profits massively precisely because the viewers genuinely believe they are watching a bottom-tier, miserable worker.
While in physical reality, they are watching a wealthy man's theatrical play.
Exactly. If he closed that gap, if he showed them his bank account, the value drops to zero immediately. Hiding his wealth is not a psychological curse. It is a highly skilled technical job requirement to maintain the asymmetry.
That is a terrifying way to look at it. Have you considered the source material's devastatingly accurate analogy for this exact dynamic? This creator is exactly like a lottery winner who wears rags so his neighbors won't beg him for money.
Which is a perfectly rational strategy for asset protection.
But the grotesque twist in this attention economy is that the very act of wearing those rags miraculously causes him to win the lottery over and over again. The more physical assets he accumulates, the higher the resolution of wretchedness he must fake to keep the neighbors fooled.
Relying on a successful business model is not a trap, it is a rational dependency. He is executing a complex debugging of his public image to ensure the system keeps running.
More than 80% of his personal economy now relies entirely on this attention trap.
Let us break down the psychology of the viewer instead of pitying the creator. Why do they watch? They watch because the modern world is precarious, and seeing someone who is objectively worse off provides an emotional anchor. The viewers are literally paying him for their own security.
Paying for this security by demanding his stagnation. They are self-medicating with his misery. And if he stops providing that medication, if he takes off the rags, his income plummets back to 1/5 of what it is.
He does not simulate starvation. He manufactures a product. Let us push the logic of circular capitalism to its actual conclusion here.
The conclusion is that he is terrified of returning to the factory. So he accepts a life where he has a bank account 5 times larger, but he can never eat a decent meal on his own terms.
The conclusion is the establishment of what we can call the poverty business recycling factory. He takes a universally recognized symbol of loneliness, like eating a discount tandoori chicken alone in a cramped room, and continuously reinvests the attention it garners back into the system.
But he is actually eating the discount chicken. It is not a prop made of plastic. It is his actual dinner.
He inputs negative energy, social marginalization, and loneliness.
The factory processes this through the video platform and outputs massive, scalable capital.
You are ignoring the physical asymmetry. He is experiencing the sensory reality of poverty while his bank account swells. His body is living the life of a pauper while his digital avatar generates the revenue of an executive.
It functions as a prop within the framework of the business. Why should we view a successful, highly lucrative business model as a tragedy simply because the product being sold happens to be the illusion of misery?
Because it is a loop of extraction that requires him to be the raw material. Let's talk about the editing process. You call it brand management, but I call it tightening the bolts of viewers' security.
He is refining his product. It is no different than a corporate marketing team adjusting a campaign.
He traded the physical constraint of tightening bolts on an assembly line for a mental constraint in video editing software. Every time he sits down at his computer to edit a video, he has to meticulously calibrate his own misery.
That level of meticulous calibration proves my point exactly. He has transitioned from a manual laborer to a highly skilled stage actor.
He has to make his life look just pathetic enough to elicit pity, but not so pathetic as to cause revulsion. He edits out any moments where he might look genuinely happy or satisfied, manufacturing a synthetic poverty frame by frame. Every time he does that, he is tightening a psychological bolt.
The source material rightly compares this dynamic to Charlie Chaplin's Luxury of Poverty. Chaplin built an empire playing the tramp, capitalizing on the image of the marginalized wanderer, and no one suggests he was trapped in a psychological cage.
I see the parallel the text is drawing, but look at the fundamental difference in their realities. Chaplin took off the tramp costume when he went home.
This creator is executing the exact same performance, tailored for the modern attention economy. He is capitalizing on the flaws of traditional capitalism by weaponizing his marginalization.
But this creator films his home. His home is the set, his meals are the props, his actual daily existence is the performance, meaning there is no offstage for him. That is a dystopian trap.
He does not need an offstage when the on-stage performance generates a five-fold increase in capital. It completely insulates him from the physical risks of the linear labor market.
That is exactly the trap. He successfully monetized his misery, only to find himself contractually obligated to live inside it forever. When he eats that 100-yen dumpling, he isn't acting on a Hollywood backlot. He is consuming his own life for the camera.
He is hyper-vigilant, which is a required trait for any successful manager of capital.
He is terrified that the audience will notice the seams in his performance. He knows that if he buys a car or moves to a nicer apartment, the empathy will instantly dry up and he will be forced back to the real factory. He traded a physically exhausting job for a mentally exhausting performance where he can never drop character.
Nourishing his life with visible wealth would destroy the specific value proposition he has built. The 100-yen dumpling on the screen is not a tragedy. It represents thousands of yen in electricity, tens of thousands in premium camera gear, and the flawless execution of a corporate strategy.
But the dumpling still tastes like a 100-yen dumpling. You can surround it with all the 4K cameras and professional lighting in the world, but when he puts it in his mouth, he is still chewing on the reality of poverty.
The point is survival and leverage.
So what is the point of the capital if the physical experience of his life remains identical to when he was broke? He experiences a genuine, perpetually unfulfilled hunger because he cannot use his wealth to actually nourish his life.
The existing system of labor, accumulation, and visible consumption is fundamentally broken for the working class. In the linear model, you work your entire life to buy a slightly better meal, but you remain perpetually vulnerable to exploitation with no real upward mobility.
So the only upward mobility available in your circular model is to monetize your own despair, to become a permanent actor in the world's most cost-ineffective theater. I mean, he is a captive to a pantomime.
His transition to circular capitalism, where he perpetually recycles his own marginalized status into a high-yield financial instrument, is the absolute collapse of the old operating system.
A man who successfully escaped the physical exhaustion of the assembly line, only to lock himself inside a psychological cage where his wealth demands he forever play the role of the destitute.
In the linear model, you work to buy the gourmet meal. In the circular model, you eat the cheap dumpling on camera to buy the camera.
which films the next dumpling, which generates the revenue to sustain the cycle indefinitely.
When the camera turns off, if it ever really turns off, he is still sitting alone in a cramped room, staring at a premium microwave that he can only ever use to cook discounted bread.
Embracing this circular model and ruthlessly managing one's own misery as a commodity is the definitive proof that this is the only rational investment for survival in the modern economy. The 100 yen dumpling on the screen represents a profound societal question about what we are really consuming when we watch others. We leave you to consider who the real captive in this highly optimized loop truly is: the creator, who rationally engineers his own misery, or the audience, whose demand for superiority keeps the camera rolling.